very good morning to you. Hope you're doing well. Thursday is here with us again. Siku ya clinic, relationship clinic. Nimeweka bench nje kama kawaida. Tumeisanitize. Na tumeweka stickers ndio mjue mahali mnakaa. I'm telling you, COVID-19 has really showed us some things. And talking about COVID-19, I want to get into an interesting discussion with you today. Talking about creating a new normal. That has become the hashtag of the season. New normal. Everything is new normal. You know, new normal in how we communicate. New normal in how we dress. Now we have an accessory called a face mask. Even though wengine wanaitumia kuweka kwa forehead, na kuficha ndevu or the lack thereof. New normal in the way we interact with people. New normal in the way we are shopping. New normal in the way we are having church services and communicating. A lot of stuff happening online. New normal in the way we are doing education. New normal everywhere. So, do you have a new normal in your marriage? Is there a new normal because of COVID-19? And how do we create new normals that will enhance our marriages and take our marriages even to the next level? That's what we want to discuss. And so even as we get into this discussion, tell me, how has COVID-19 affected your marriage relationship? Whether it's positive or negative. If it's negative, ask your questions. Probably we may point you in the right direction. For some, COVID-19 has brought challenges. We've had a rise in cases of domestic violence, which is quite sad. I hope that, people will learn to live together. For others, it's brought in more communication because nani haendi ni kule alikuwa na edaga. Unajua kule alikuwa na edaga jioni kukaa na wazee wakikunywa kitu fulani. That is not workable now. So you have some husbands who are coming home quite early. It's created a new normal. You can't just sit there and do nothing. Conversations are beginning to come up. So what's the new normal in your marriage relationship? Or what's the challenge you're experiencing because of the new normal surrounding COVID-19? That's what we want to get into our discussion today. My guests are already with us via Zoom. I will be introducing them to you in the next short while. Have you had your cup of tea? If you have not had gashai, ebu kimbia hapo kwa mama boy, muambia kupatia Eden Tea, the finest garden tea. That's the way to go, my friend. You will not regret it. Now, Eden Tea is reminding us in this season that we can beat the spread of coronavirus if we work together. Osha mikono na maji na sabuni. Wash your hands with soap and running water. Remember to always do that each time, every time. Also remember to put on a face mask anytime you go out to interact with others. It is for your own good and also for the good of the others that you're going to be talking with. Maintain distance. Hapo kando kidogo, don't be so close to each other. Kaendi kando kidogo as you interact. 1.5 to 2 meters. That's what we have been told to do. And then also remember, my friend, if you can work from home, work from home. It's the best thing to do because at home as well, anytime is tea time with Eden Tea, the finest garden tea. Anytime is tea time with Eden Tea, the finest garden tea. Now, in studio today via Zoom, I'm having some good friends. This is Bishop Joel Chola and his wife Pauline Chola. How are you guys doing?
Hey, we're doing good. Just trying to keep distance over here.
You guys cannot keep distance. I know you. even after how many years now? 25 years or 24 years?
24.
23, 24.
I say 23.
Yeah, even after 24 years, you guys are always over each other. You are always kila mahali mnaendaga. It's good to have you guys in studio today. We want to look at I don't know why I'm having feedback from your end. I seem to be having some feedback.
There's somebody else who's connected from your end.
Feedback from your it's from my end.
Yes, we have two connections from your end, you and someone else. So there's somebody else.
Feedback from my end is causing problems. Yeah. My producer will take care of that from the other side. So I'm just wondering, even as we begin, has COVID-19 affected your marriage in any way?
Oh, yes, definitely.
Yes.
I think that this whole thing about being, obviously everybody else has been shut out. Let's just begin there.
Yeah.
So obviously, one of the things that I think that is so glaring, which is really a positive, of course, all the negatives, but the positive thing is that I think, with all this unprecedented change in office space, you can't go to the office, you stay at home. I think my wife and I have experienced prolonged times with each other, which are positive in many ways, because it has tested our friendship, it has tested our communication, it has tested our oneness. I mean, the reality is that everything suddenly has changed. We realize that we are living in a time when it's life-threatening. So obviously that has meant that we've had to consider, our values, consider what we stand for,
what is important to us,
because, obviously we realize, sports is not that important. Jemo. Tumekabila Man U, Liverpool. You know those things that you thought were so important?
That you have to see.
Yeah, that you thought you could die if you don't see them. You realize those things are not important. I think COVID-19, having brought such I'm calling it life-threatening, basically, situation, has really reawakened and caused us to reevaluate a lot of things. We've discovered that, finding out what is the real source of happiness.
Wow.
Is it these Manu things? Is it this?
Manu is not essential services.
That's good the way you put it. Obviously you come to realize, I mean, there's a real source of happiness and joy. And I think what has happened in this season, it has redefined our values, redefined our goals in life, prioritized so many things. I mean, there are some things that were up on the list.
Yes.
They have now gone way down. I mean,
they're not as important.
They're not as important.
They were really more often. They were more overrated than we thought.
Exactly.
So when we were doing life before COVID, those things were so important.
Yes.
But then now, and they were rated very highly. Then now that we are in the middle of COVID, that's not it. You're like, what? That's not even important. It doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
And you now start looking at things that have got more value, and not just value for a moment, but almost like eternal value or value beyond.
Somebody sent in an SMS and they said for them, COVID-19 has exposed the cracks in their relationship. And so now they're trying to figure out how to sort out those cracks. I don't know what you think about that comment.
Well, let me tell you what I think. I think because of being close together.
Being together a lot. There are definitely some. You realize the stacking differences that you have. Even us guys have experienced that. I mean, for me, my wife can easily stay at home the entire day. Me, I can't. I mean, there are times I just get in the car and I drive to town, stay in traffic, and I drive back in the car because I'm like, I feel so confined. And so there was a time we had a conversation. I was like, why do you have to go? Because now, of course, the moment I drive out, now it becomes a risk. The rest of us.
It becomes a risk factor. Yeah, definitely, you will experience cracks. In fact, Pastor Jemo, I think I heard you say earlier when introducing that yes, we've had stories of more violence.
Yes.
People have had issues. I mean, of course, that's an extreme case, the negative side. But the truth is, as a couple that's seeking to build a marriage, you will recognize that there are some differences and there are some cracks in the way you do things.
Yes.
Just like Jemo, when us guys go to the office, maybe I come home and I've been at work the whole day. So I only come and the only meal I'm concerned about is dinner. But now I'm in the house throughout, even lunch is a concern.
Yeah.
And I come here, you guys don't cook lunch. I don't even know.
Cook lunch, we don't even eat.
What do you mean you don't cook? I'm here to cook. So of course now, tunaanza kuwa na space.
Pressure ambayo haitakikani. One of the other things about the cracks is that, people are different. A lot of times people get married because they're different. They're like, and what we call the difference is at that time, my husband is unique. Of course, then now you start staying with them and that difference gets onto your nerves and you're like, why are you doing things like that? Yeah. What attracts you now becomes like, why are you doing things like that? And then you're thinking, let me try and change them. Let me change the way they do things. Kwa nini akifungua niniyo blue band anaiacha tu wazi? Ni nini mbaya? Why are you doing that kind of thing?
I'm like blue band has no eternal value.
So what has happened, especially this time of COVID season, we have to be together a lot. Okay, so initially it was wake up, you go to work, I go to work, the kids go away.
To school,
okay,
yeah.
and then when we come in the evening, there's just a lot to be done to prepare for the next day.
Yes.
Okay, so you get ready, you do your homework, you take a shower, you do your homework. I sit down and I read whatever I'm reading, and I also sleep early so I can wake up tomorrow. So there was no one time we had to spend a lot of time together, you know. So then now we were not even able to see those cracks or to see those differences.
Yeah.
But then now suddenly, what? You're on my space. Why do you do that? Okay, why are you just sitting in one place and not going anywhere? Or why are you not? Why do you keep going outside? What is it you're looking for out there?
Yes.
Sit down. Let's get be together and talk. Why is it you don't like talking? I thought you liked talking all the time. Why are you not talking to me? Sit there and let's talk. And so we discover, of course, there are those cracks that end up showing up because it's really the differences that now we are getting to see that we did not have time to see because we were never together with each other or in each other's space.
Yeah. You
Can
know,
I tell you something else? You know, I think one of the biggest cracks, I like that word crack. You know, one of the biggest challenges because of this time, of course, is finances.
yes.
I mean, think about for me, you know, because the kids go to school, of course you pay fees, but it then factor in when it's not as tough when you have to be here 6 months with 9 people in the house, as a 9, eating 3 meals a day.
Yes.
And I'm like,
Snacks and all.
yeah, of course now because you're home, snacks become an issue, you know, because people are just eating and reading and eating and reading and eating. You know, so obviously the biggest thing, us guys had to sit down with my wife. This was recent. I sit down and tell her, okay,
I think 3 weeks ago.
I was like, this budget one, something is wrong with this picture because it's not working. You know, so that was of course we resolved it, but it was something that had to be. We had to have a conversation about it because we have to.
Going to the supermarket every week. She's saying, why are you going every week? I'm like, because we have to buy things.
I know,
because you know
and guess who's paying?
No, guess who's? He comes and he's like, where are the bananas? How come there are no fruits in this house? And then he still asks me, why are you not going?
It's a vacuum cleaner. Let's just say that way.
Wow.
Yeah, so.
You know, I'm listening to the both of you, and it sounds funny and hilarious, but I can tell that you have such a strong friendship that those issues don't escalate into something else altogether. You know, one of the challenges a lot of families have been having is parents don't know how to interact with their children anymore because, like you've said, we are used to them going to school, they come back in the evening, they do their homework, they eat, they sleep, they repeat again tomorrow. But now that they're at home the whole day, we are discovering we don't really know them. And I'm flipping that now towards couples as well. You know, couples staying together the whole time and realizing they really don't know each other as much as they thought they did. So how do you navigate through that? Because for you guys, I can tell it's not that much of a big deal because there's a very strong friendship. But for that couple who have not been able to build that strong friendship, bado wanagombezana juu ya hizo vitu mention. How do they navigate through all that?
So one of the things that I can say about strong friendship is that he's making me such a distance. So one of the things I can say about having a strong friendship is that friendship is built, okay? And you build it over time.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the one factor that is working positively over us because we've been married now for a while. So that has helped. So that's number one. Now, we intentionally made sure that we build the friendship. You know, we didn't wait for it to just happen. A lot of times couples get married and they're thinking, oh, I'm so in love with him, so it'll just happen. But it just doesn't happen like that. Friendship is built over time, okay? Communication, making sure you talk to one another, making sure you understand one another. Most of the time we realize that, you know, we get together because number one of our differences, because people say positive and negative attract. So of course our differences cause us to get together, but also our similarities help us get together. And one of the things that I've realized as time has gone by is that our similarities are the ones that cause us to have more conflict than not. You know, but our differences are the ones that actually cause it to be aggravated. So you see the different, but yet at the same time, it's because of how alike you are. that causes that difference to happen. The other thing that also happens is that when he's different, when he's different, especially like now, why is he going out? Why doesn't he have to think, that let's stay in the house? And then I'm here staying in the house and he's thinking, baby, go out and do something. If you stay in the house, you'll regress or something. You need to start going out and doing something.
Yeah.
Those differences, it's like, for me, I'm like, no, I don't want to go out. I don't want to be like you. And like for him, he's thinking, I don't want to be like you, just sitting in the house. And he gets to a point where he's thinking, why are you trying to change me to be like you? Or then he starts asking me, or why am I trying to change him to be like me? Or why is he trying to change me to be like that? I think it was a week or something ago. What did he tell me? I think you told me, babe, why are you trying to make me change like you? He actually
told her that.
And I looked at him and I'm saying, I'm not trying to change you. Believe you me, I can't change you. I'm not the Holy Ghost in your life.
Yeah. In fact, can I tell you something, Pastor James? I think that one of the key things to build a good friendship is really to understand each other.
Yes.
Because like my wife is saying, we cannot be 100% perfect in terms of
just being human,
but we have to give each other space. I think my wife, I've given her space to be who she is, and she's given me space to be who I am. I mean, at our age, Maisha Mazetu, we can't fight over differences. We have to just be who you are, and I be who I am, and we are content to allow each other to have our differences
to become
who we are. Because many times it's when we try and change the other person that creates more friction. When we are forcing the other person to be like us or to fit in our mold, then we create. There's one thing to be in harmony. I think the key is to be in harmony, even within our differences, to allow harmony to exist. Because it's like I've given an example about blue band or toothpaste or open window. Some of those things they can't make us fight.
They have no eternal value.
Yeah, we just have to allow each other to give each other room to be who we are, without necessarily having to be forced to fit in a certain mold.
Yeah.
Because I think when you get married, your agenda usually is, I will change this man to be like me. I'm saying, I can give you an example. My wife and I are very different in terms of the way we see order and the way we see arrangements. Basically, I don't see them. I'm very simple. My wife would walk into a room and say something is not out of order. This is supposed to be there. This is what I'm saying. And I was like, we can fight over it because me, I want to relax. You're telling me to move the table and to change the curtains and to, reorganize things. She sees so much of that. Me, I don't. Me, I'm like, the room is fine. It's been fine. It will be fine for eternity. She's like, no, something's wrong with this environment. So we used to have a lot of that back and forth. Then I realized, you know what? I have to let her be who she is in terms of order. So the more, it's called OCD. You know what I'm saying? Look at her. So, I got you there. So anyway, she wants everything. So, every little thing, she can see a cockroach passing in the corner of the window and it's a big deal. I'm like, okay. So I have to realize I have to let her be who she is, because every time I kept fighting her over that, it created more conflict.
Yes.
But the time I told her, you be what you want to be, clean as much as you want, or rearrange the house as many times as you want. And how she realized she can't be forcing me to also see things and do things the way she wants. She decided, what are you I can do it in a car? He's both harmony.
I'm hanging out with Bishop Joel Chola and his wife, Pauline Chola. We are talking about creating new normals in our marriages. Do you have any questions? Do you have any challenges in your marriage because of this COVID-19 pandemic? Throw in your questions on 20316, WhatsApp on 0786 316 316. Reure, tusikizane. Usingoje mpaka 10-2. Don't wait to see if somebody will ask you a question. You know how this drill goes. You wait to hear. Kuna mtu atauliza kaswali kangu. And you wait. And then it gets to 10 minutes before the show ends. And you bombard me with 56 questions. And then later you say, Pasi, you didn't ask my question. Ask your question now. Ukituma sahi tutaijibu. Today I'm hanging out with Bishop Joel Chola and his wife, Pauline Chola. We are talking about creating new normals in your marriage. COVID-19 has taught us a new word. Yeah, hashtag creating new normals. And so what are some of the new normals you can create in your marriage, or what are some of the challenges that the new normal has brought into your marriage relationship? SMS 20316, WhatsApp 0786 316 316. I have a question here. It says, great conversation. Where does commitment to the marriage come in? Because in this period, so many things are attacking the marriage, and mere love might not be enough to see us through.
Mere love.
Yes, mapenzi haitoshei. So how do we stay committed to one another in this period?
They've been committed from the very beginning. The things that people don't recognize is that marriage is, I fall in love with my husband, okay? But then now, being committed to him is the decision that I make. And those are the things that have to be made even from the very beginning, okay? So I fall in love with him and I want to get married to him. But then now that falling in love is not what is going to keep us. It's the fact that I have said, because I have chosen him, I will be with him, forever.
Yeah. I think the question there is about commitment.
Yeah.
In a very simple way, the commitment is a choice.
Yes, you choose.
Not everything will be perfect. In fact, this COVID season will test your commitment. Let's just say. So the new normal is to be aware that I have to choose and to remain committed. Like I said earlier, that this whole thing has actually brought us to a realization that even all the possessions we have are nothing. Think about it, Pastor Jemo.
Yeah.
In a moment, suddenly you lose everything. We know people. A lot of things have shifted. Jobs. Think about it, Pastor James. People are struggling financially, and jobs have been lost. That's a real test of commitment.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Will I remain in this marriage? When there's no finances, when things are so tight, when we have to work together to make ends meet in a very tough environment. And so I think just to answer that question, my challenge to that individual would be, first, because you already made a choice to love this individual, you also have to commit that you will walk with them through it, because marriage is for a lifetime. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. From the day we got married, we're saying we'll work things out together, we will live life together till the very end. And so for me, I think the COVID scenario and this season, the new normal is that it's a test of commitment, a true test. Think about it. As guys are used to, as men, we're used to just, you get our money, we know what goes to the family, there might be a little extra, you know what you're going to do with it. You're planning to buy land, you're planning to invest in something, you're planning for future school fees, house building. But now all that has been brought into sharp focus in this season, because you realize that all these things are of no eternal value. One day they were there, the next day they're like, out of the window. So So I think
the thing about commitment is that when you get married, you have to be committed, okay? But the COVID pandemic has come to actually test, just like what my husband has said, has actually come to test that commitment. So the commitment should have been there from the very beginning. But then now when COVID comes, now the commitment is actually tested. Is it really there, as we call it to be? Because sometimes, if you're thinking, if there is money, this is what I will do. But now what if there's no money? If there is a job, this is what I'm going to do. Now that there's no job, and one of the things that people realize is that when you're at a place when you're sick or you're unwell, all those things really don't matter. Yeah. The thing that matters the most is that, am I able to get oxygen in my lungs? That is the thing that matters. So that's when you realize, it is some of the things that cause us to be committed in a marriage can be very, futile, trivial. Yeah. They don't have value. But then when it is threatened, especially when it's a matter of life and death, that's when you realize, oh my goodness, I actually committed to this and I have to stick to it to the end.
Yeah, and can I say something else? I think that, this season for us, the reason why I feel like it has made us more committed to one another, has really tested us, in the part of loving, forgiving, you know what I'm saying, and compassion. Because suddenly you realize, my wife used the word oxygen. Yes. That's what is life-giving to the relationship. The things that are life-giving to a relationship is how you love one another, how you forgive one another, and the compassion you have for one another. That's like life. And so what this season has taught us, just like in the physical realm, the physical body needs oxygen. You've
Yeah.
come to realize that relationships need life.
Yeah.
They need, it's like the oxygen in the relationship is that loving and that caring. You think about it, Pastor James, we now care. For me, I feel at least that I care more for my family than before, because
Yes.
I'm always concerned, about who's coming into the house.
Yes.
Why have you left
why
the
have
house?
they left the house? Why are you bringing up? Like the other day, we had a guy who was coming to check on the internet. I'm glad he fixed it. Otherwise, today we'll be having problems.
Yes.
From the time the guy walked into the gate, I was thinking, is he coughing? Does he have a fever?
Hey.
Does he have a mask?
Wow.
Yeah, so obviously that's and then I realized, of course, and of course, then when my wife sees me do that, she feels better. She feels more secure. She feels more committed. She makes more, this guy knows what he's doing, because he's caring, he's covering the family. So I think just encourage that individual who's asking, about commitment. I think that the life of the relationship even adds more fuel and impetus to the commitment. Yes, it's a decision you make.
Yeah.
I will stay in this through thick and thin. We cannot argue about that. But also, I think the more you give oxygen to your marriage, the more you give life to your home, the commitment becomes more. Because the more I see that you're caring and you're loving and you're forgiving, because it's perfect. This
Very
season,
true.
I know how many times I've forgiven my wife. I mean, I've forgiven her many times.
City, have I forgiven you many times?
Yes.
Okay.
There's another question here. This one needs some wisdom and how you answer it. It says, this is Modoni. Modoni is asking, how are they dealing with intimacy, considering, unlike before COVID, guys are busy, hence there are breaks. Now there's too much time. Coping with demand is stressful, especially for those of us who have been married 20 years plus. Ndio nimesema mna need wisdom kidogo mkijibu hiyo kwa sababu ni mchana.
You see, I'm laughing and waiting for my wife to answer. Since Ms. Modoni was asked, that's my answer.
The one thing that I say about intimacy, it's the same thing that is there in a relationship. Intimacy is worked on, and it is something that you do. Okay, you work on it so that by the time you're together, you see, initially, how do I say this? Initially, when you start having a relationship or you start getting married, you have not been intimate before. Okay, so you don't even know what's the word that I want to use? You don't even know the way, you don't even know how much intimacy is supposed to happen, especially for the lady. Okay? So we know, we are going to get married. We've already thought about how the marriage is going to be. Until now, when we get into the marriage, and in terms of the intimacy, you're like, oh, okay, it's this much. It's a lot like this. Okay?
It's a lot.
How is this supposed to go on and function? Okay? Then you learn how to work with, it's a lot like this. And it's the same thing even at this time, okay? But intimacy also goes both ways. One of the things that I realized is that when you realize, especially as a woman, that the man cares for you a lot, intimacy will not be a difficult thing. Intimacy becomes a difficult thing when the man does not care the way you want him to care, okay? The way my husband gave an example, and he said, he's there making sure that nobody comes into the house, and bringing for us, disease and sickness. He's there to make sure that there's enough food that we are provided for. He's there to make sure that all our needs are met. He's there to make sure that the house is taken care of and it's running, that the money is there. Even if he doesn't necessarily have to have the money himself, but the fact that he's concerned, that for me causes me to be at a place where I'm thinking, he's amazing. He's such a nice guy, when he allows me to be who I need to be, when he forgives me when I make mistakes. All those things added up are the ones that bring me to a point where the intimacy is not even a difficult thing, okay? But when intimacy is asked for, but all these other things are not happening, then now that's when it becomes a difficult thing. That's when you feel like it's too much. Because if your needs are not being taken care of as a woman, and then after that, the guy at night, you're like, okay, how is this going to work? But yet at the same time, you're tired tired. You've been running around the house trying to take care of the children and even the whole household. You're trying to look for money by yourself and you're very tired. And all these things are happening. You're like, you know what, just leave me. I just need to sleep and rest.
Leave me alone.
Leave me alone. I need to sleep and get ready for the next day. So most of the time, that's intimacy. That's why people have struggles. If your needs are not being taken care of, that's when you look at it and it becomes a burden and not a joy as it's supposed to be. What can you say?
Yeah, well, what I can say is that the reality is that I totally agree with Muthoni that now it feels more because the guy is there more. But
he's seeing you more.
Yes, and he's seeing you more and he's wanting you more. And the reality is that it's just how the man is made. I love what my wife said earlier, that when you first get married, as a woman, you have no idea. This character, this Jama that I married, until you realize, boss, it's a different species. So of course now it's more pronounced because he's more available, and so are you. So we're all locked into this little space, and there's not much movement, and so it's part of the entertainment. It's part of the life.
We have energy to dispel.
So I think I try to agree with my wife that as her needs are met, as the woman's needs are met, then she doesn't feel so much spent, to meet the needs of the man. Because it doesn't feel like too much. The same way that she may be feeling it's too much in the physical realm, the guy is also feeling it's too much in the emotional and communication realm.
Yes.
Because that's what we've experienced in our marriage.
Yeah.
Because whenever she feels the physical realm is too much, I'm also sometimes feeling, maze hiyo kuongea pia ni mingi.
Let's stop, baby.
Yes.
Let's stop.
In fact, there's a question.
I want to just look at the computer and not listen to you. So I think to balance it out, because intimacy is two ways. It's the physical intimacy, but also it's the emotional intimacy.
Yes.
Where there's conversation, soul to soul. And that can also be weary on the man. The same way the woman will be weary in the physical realm. So the idea is to bring balance to that equation and allow more conversation, So obviously, I hope that helps.
Okay. There's a question about the whole communication and talking bit. We'll get to it in a short while. Like you've said, there's a husband here who's really thinking, my wife is talking too much. So I'll ask you that question. I'll ask you that question in a bit. You're on the Relationship Clinic this Thursday morning, hanging out with Bishop Joel Chola and his wife, Pauline Chola. We are talking about creating new normals in our marriage, because this is what COVID-19 is teaching us to do, to learn new ways of doing things. What are some new ways we can learn to overcome the challenges this season has brought, and also to enhance our marriages? A comment here that says, with a conflict rate of 20% of time together, it used to be 20% of 2 to 3 hours a day. Now, it's 10 hours a day, and I have become even less talkative, lest I say the wrong thing and light a spark. I also now look for the slightest opportunity to stay away. It has become my new abnormal. That is very sad. And then there's the question I was talking about earlier. This one is coming in all the way from Kilifi. It says, my wife talks too much of a simple issue, and when I keep silent, she judges me that I'm not listening. When I tell her it's enough, it's like I have triggered another bomb of words, both hurting and discouraging. How do I stay safe as a man? Do I walk out, or do I sit and listen? Swallowing your ear.
And I apologize for him on behalf of his wife. I am so sorry that happens to you. That you feel like a simple matter is a lot for the woman.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I can say, men see things completely different from the way women see things, and matters to women can be, for them, because they carry them with the heart and with a lot of emotion, they're not simple.
Yeah.
Okay? And for you, it's different because it's your mind that is able to see things.
Yeah. Let me tell you what happened. When my wife and I went through a season where, she'd tell me all the, maybe something that has happened at the office or somebody who has done something. And to me, it was such a simple matter. You just ignore.
Wachana na yeye.
I'm like, wachana na yeye. You know, but then I realized she keeps talking about it. But then I realized the thing is she wanted me to hear her heart, you know, just
to feel where her
heart was. Because for me, I wasn't feeling, I mean, kwani mtu alisema nini? Shauri yake. I mean, why should you carry?
Yeah.
You know, so she was like, you hardened me. So we ended up talking about it for a long time until I heard that she was feeling, you know, what she was feeling about that situation. Then it ended. So I think for us men, we tend to listen with, you know, with the mind because we're very logical. We want to either end the conversation or give a solution.
Yes.
You know, us guys, whenever my mind goes straight to, I need to solve that problem.
Yes.
But really, she doesn't need a solution at that time. She just wants me to hear her out.
My heart.
You know, in fact, the way I can tell that
Gentleman.
the gentleman is that, you know, the same way you want to pour out in the physical realm, the previous question is the same way she wants to pour out emotionally. And that pouring out emotionally that's just the way God made her. You know, so if you refuse to listen, if you're not available to listen, then it can be a challenge. But if you learn to listen to the heart, you actually get to the point where you enjoy the conversation.
Yeah.
Because the thing that I've learned to do is to, when we have these conversations with my wife, is I have to get into her world and hear her heart. And in the process of doing that, I actually enjoy the conversation and I don't get tired of listening. You know, just the same way when she engages me, you know, in intimacy and physical realm, the more she gets into what I desire and what I want, the more she enjoys.
Yes.
Hallelujah.
Yes. Now, before we run out of time, you know, I'm thinking this season we can either use it constructively to find new normals that enhance our marriages, or because it has disrupted things so much, we can actually allow it to become the season that tears us apart. So maybe what are some tips you can give us of how we can create new normals because of this season that will help push our marriages even to the next level?
Yeah, well, I think that for me, one of the things that has become a new normal is to prioritize the family. I think that's, for me, has really come really high up because, you know, everything else doesn't seem to be that critical anymore. I remember somebody saying that, you know, the reality is that your wife, your children, the people that are really closest to you are the ones that are bound to hurt the most if anything happens to you.
Yeah.
So I think the new normal here is to prioritize the family in terms of finances, in terms of plans for health, health plans, because now we can't take it for granted. You know, we've lived life without worry, you know, but now this thing has brought such a reality that we have to think about health, whether we like it or not.
Yeah.
So the normal going forward, because of this transition, you know, we have to think about it. And of course, now in terms of our marriage, you know, we've had to sit down lots of times now to talk about our finances, to talk about our future, to talk about our plans, you know, so that's become a normal for us, you know, to have conversation on a weekly basis where that is concerned. Yeah.
Okay. For me, one of the things that I can say is that as women, we need to realize that the atmosphere in the household, you know, the attitude in the household is we are the ones who bring that out. Okay?
Yeah.
So if you wake up and you're in a bad mood and you're in a quarrelsome mood and, you know, those kind of things, that is what is going to trickle down. You know, of course, it begins with your husband because you're together with him. Then if you have children, it goes down to your children. Okay? So as a woman, you have to choose your battles, almost like, do I need to make a fuss about this thing?
Yeah.
Is it that important? Because the same way we are realizing that there are different things that of importance in the household. A relationship is more important than how clean a house is, or the order of a house, or how things were done. You know, that is more important. So, of course, one of the things that I've learned is that I need to just make sure where I am as a person, my spirit is where it needs to be. I cannot be allowing myself to get upset or to get angry at things that are not of any essential value. You know, the first time I remember hearing, what was that? They were saying services, essential services. You know, there are some people who are needed and others are not needed. So even in your own household, what are the essential services? Is it so important to have this thing ordered or in a line? You know, so here you are, you mess up and you have conflict either with your husband because things were not placed the way they were. So you're there having conflict and you're not even talking about other things in life because of the conflict that you have. Just choosing your battles and knowing where you need to be. Just making sure that the attitude, you know, or the altitude in your house is controlled by you.
Yeah.
What's the other thing?
Yeah, well, I also think that, you know, it's been a time when we have gone back to the basics.
Yes.
That's what I feel. The new normal now is the basics have come out to be the really important things, the ABCs of life.
Yeah.
You know, and one of them is, of course, in marriage has to do with communication.
Yeah.
You know, you have to create a new normal where communication becomes the norm in terms of updating one another, where we are, what are we doing. You know, we've had to become more creative because you have a lot of time together. You know, and now it's not just hello, hi. You know, this. You know, you've had to really become more creative in terms of what we can converse about. What can we talk about? What are we about? You know, what does our family? We've talked a lot with my wife about the family and plans and future, more than we've ever done before. Before it was, you know, you were so busy, you only think about these things when the holiday comes. But now, you know, now we even talk about what we're going to do in the holidays and the future, and we've laid out plans. So I think for me, I feel like that's a new normal that we want to maintain going forward, you know, that we continue having conversations concerning our future together as a family.
Wow.
The other thing, of course, is creating, like we create our family traditions, okay? A lot of times because of having to do so many things, it's a schedule. We wake up in the morning, we drop kids to school, we go to work, we go pick them up from school, and then after that we get into the house, we have a shower, we do homework, we eat dinner, we sleep to start the whole process the next day. And as families or as husband and wife, you don't have like a thing that you do together. One of the things that now we've realized between my husband and I is we've created a time, you know, a time and a place to be together. When the whole stay at home thing started, I remember changing my room and creating a place where there's a sofa that we can sit on, there's a table that we can sit on, there's a place where we can spend time. Of course, my kids did that. There was a lot of movement of furniture in the house, and they're trying to create space where they are able to be together a lot more and start creating traditions. Now that we are not going out as much as we needed to, Sunday night becomes, or Sunday becomes our day where we cook. And my husband will cook a meal, either whether it's lunch or dinner, or he'll go and buy something, and we'll be able to cook together, sit on the table and eat. You know, that is something that we could have not done because either we're in church or there's something we are doing or we are preparing for tomorrow. But this time around, it's not a big deal. We'll actually make a meal, sit on the table together and have conversations, not just amongst ourselves, but also with the children. It's just now learning how to create new traditions, you know, that you can keep pushing on even for the future.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, correct.
Asanteni sana, I'm looking at my clock and I'm thinking, my goodness, somebody fast forwarded this clock because my time is up. It's always a joy to host the both of you. Thank you for your insight and for your wisdom. I'm out of time. I'm out of time for the relationship clinic today. Thank you so much for being a part of it. I hope you've been able to get something that will help you in your marriage relationship.